Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends, the episode where we finally got all the technical issues sorted so we can talk shit about British people.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
we literally
hopefully.
we literally recorded a full 10 minutes talking about the Keithley situation, only to find out that my audio wasn't working and Brie had a call from her car people.
It was a plumber, actually. I'm still waiting on the car people, so that
Oh
can still
shit!
happen.
So you've got multiple issues going on right now.
Yeah, the
All
fun
she needs now is an electrical issue, and then she's got the whole package.
that I just need to find
Don't
a clip
jinx
to
it.
get my car off of. So. If you know of any, let me know.
Anyways, but yeah, we were talking specifically about the recent Keithley situation where, again, he didn't have really many nice things to say about British food, and people from, Great Britain got a little upset about it. And I don't know why everybody thinks that it's okay to just pile on Keithley when he doesn't like something.
He's so unproblematic. Like, I think he's so sweet, and we were mentioning in the part that we didn't record that it's I don't know, if he talks that badly about a place, he won't post it. Like, he's never outright shit on anybody. Like, he is so fucking respectful all the time.
Yeah. The only time he has ever said anything hyper negative is when he felt the customer service treated their customers poorly.
Right.
And if it's food related, he leaves it alone.
Yeah.
But
And again, like he does say the thing is just like, if I don't have anything constructive to say, and saying like, hey, maybe work on your guys' customer service is a valid critique.
absolutely.
Yeah. But we were talking previously about, like, because when he was in my neck of the woods in the DMV, he had a similar situation where, again, like, he went on and said, like, I went to a lot of places. I don't have really anything positive to say. I'm not going to, like, here's my experience. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to, like, put these places on blast, which is, I think, a very valid thing to do.
Mhm.
It
And
is.
a lot of local people shat on him, and they were just like, he needs to hire a culture and research person and like all this other kinds of stuff, telling him how he needs to do his content. I'm like, he doesn't need to fucking do that. He's doing it his way. That's the beauty of Keith Lee. He is doing what he wants to do it, how he wants to do it. He's not. Again, there's like people who have like this idea, like once you have a certain level of influence, you are obligated to make everyone happy, and I'm just like, no, fuck off.
Yeah. And he primarily goes to like privately owned mom and pop restaurants. And so the fact that he chooses to not shit on a privately owned company just for the sake of the view is really respectable.
Because those spots literally are just like hanging on by a thread. Like they're like on like the margin of error in terms of like any kind of profit, like, and sure, that leads to a lot of other problems, especially like with labor and everything else typically. But again, it's one thing to like kind of like shit on Chick-fil-A, which deserves to be shit on, or anything else kind of like that. But when you're shitting on like a mom and pop shop that's just like trying to like get by, just no, like he does everything right.
And that would be an easy move for him too, because like obviously Rage Bait is very popular, has always been popular, so it'd be very easy for him to just make these bombastic, really negative reviews, and plenty of fucking people do that on TikTok. But he's always chosen not to, and that's respectable as fuck.
And I also will say the British deserve to be made fun of for just about everything, but that's also coming from somebody with Irish heritage. So, the IRA part of me is just like, anytime we can basically make the British feel bad, like, I'm going for it.
Yeah, they're like the OG colonizers. We can make fun of them for literally ever. So
yeah.
Their food looks like shit. Like, that's all there is to it. I've never seen good-looking British food. Not once, not ever.
Like,
it's all the same color of like gray.
You talk to anybody who's ever like been to England, they'll tell you it's just like you need to go to like the Indian restaurants or like, anything that's like, again, not like local culinary. You have to go to like the places that are like, again, places they colonized and brought food there, not the food that they made themselves.
Did you guys
tacos either, which makes me sad because I'm like, I get tacos like once a week, and apparently that's not a thing you can do there. And I'm just like, okay, well, not a place.
I've heard the Mexican food there is trash. I've heard like it's hard.
I'd believe it.
Oh, trust me. As someone from New Mexico, so like the border's right there. Trust me, I know that the good As a matter of fact, I've always said if your restaurant has the word authentic in the title, for like authentic Mexican, I already don't trust you.
Fair.
The
Where's
fact
the
that you had,
cilantro?
yeah, the fact that you had to qualify that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this is an interesting conversation. So, is it okay to critique critics? Because I don't see Keith Lee as a traditional critic in that, like, he's not somebody who went to, like, journalism school or culinary school. He's not, by any ways, an authority on food, and he doesn't claim to be at any kind of state. But, so is critiquing him on how he does his criticism okay? Because there is some ways that we do have to look at critics and kind of, like, say, like, hey, I think you're looking at this the wrong way.
I think in the case of Keith Lee, there is a problem with critiquing him because he does come from it at such an honest angle, and he acknowledges all of that. When you bring up the idea of like critiquing critics, I immediately think of like film bros on Letterboxd.
Yep.
Who think their opinion matters because they watched Taxi Driver at an impressionable age and they're like, cinema.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's situational.
Yeah. I specifically thought of like basically everybody like kind of more or less always putting IGN scores under the microscope because IGN has a history of like doing reviews that make a lot of people go like, who the fuck did you put on this assignment?
Yeah.
But like that's different because like that's a publisher where you have multiple writers and editors and stuff looking at stuff. So like you have to put the right people on the right piece of media. Because again, like, giving something a 5 that people who are fans of it think deserve an 8, that sways, and they're a big website and they have big influence over how people make gaming purchases, and other media purchases. So the way they review things matter. But again, with Keith Lee, like, he does go with the approach of like, if I don't have anything nice to say, I'm not going to say anything. And I think he should be more or less commended for that.
I agree.
100%. I think he's always gone about it that way. And like to your point, Seth, like I feel like he's always been very upfront about all of those things. And also I think it's much less about like the review aspect and like his charity aspect. Like he always donates so much money and like gives back to the community. And I feel like that's what should be what we focus on more than anything. Because again, he doesn't leave a lot of negative reviews. And even if he does, he's pretty constructive. Like I feel like I almost would rather have like a more average person review things like this, because then I can feel like on the same level with them. So, and I feel like Keith Lee has always been that for people. Yeah. And I just like, he is a consistently an unproblematic fave. And I wish people just love to like break people down like that, because they're like, oh, there's got to be a problem with him. I'm like, maybe there isn't though. Like he's just been a good guy this whole time. Maybe he is just a good fucking guy.
The clout chasing of it, like like it's a big problem on Twitch, especially where it's just like, I'm going to cause drama with such and such to get clicks and views, even though like no one cares.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a thought specifically, and I lost it.
Oh, dang.
Oh, that's fine. Anyways, moving on into our homework assignment for the week.
Yeah. Speaking of not critiquing anything.
Well, we're gonna have a lot to say on this one.
I think so. I took lots of notes.
I took notes too.
I took notes.
This
but I think mine are going to be a little different.
I don't know. I think we might be a little bit more in line than you think we are. So yeah, we did Batman and Robin, the 1997 classic, quote unquote,
quotes
movie by Joel Schumacher. Basically the last Batman movie that was made before Into the New Nolan verse happened, and starring George Clooney and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman. So Seth, take it away.
Well, I picked this because with everything going on, I just wanted something stupid that I could turn my brain off for.
And boy, could we.
Yeah. I have opinions about Arnold's performance, though. I think that is an underrated performance. I like that he calls Bane Mr. Bane. I think he approached it from the idea of this is like a professor. This is somebody who is very knowledgeable. He's going to have respect. He's going to, and the puns, that's just a dad being a dad.
Honestly, like he was playing up the possible autism on that one before we had the terms for it. But I
back
will
when it was
say the
called
main note I have
Asperger's.
is like everybody phoned in their performances except Arnold.
And I would also argue Uma. I think Uma did a great job.
Uma went back and forth with me when she was trying to do the whole like mousy like science lady kind of stuff. Like that was forced. But like when she was doing sensual Uma, I was just like, all right, I see what we're doing.
It's very Eartha Kitt to me. Like I feel like it's a very Eartha Kitt like homage, and I'm just like, I feel like I think you had it in the notes too. I feel like Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze in a completely different movie than everyone else. They're super fun. They're having a super fun time. It's honestly Batman is the worst part of this movie. So.
I specifically had in my notes. It's just like I really wish they would do a movie where they toned down the femme fatale and turned up the eco-terrorism for Ivy.
I
Obviously,
agree.
the writing was not strong enough to like make that work. They definitely had the eco-terrorism aspect going on in there, but like I wanted it's just like I want her to like take out like Wayne Enterprise reactor. I wanted like blowing up like a Gotham Capitol building for funding specific stuff. Like there's so much you could do with that character that gets buried under like the femme fatale stuff that basically just gets hammed up for male gaze purposes.
Yeah. Brie, what are some of your notes?
My very first note was, has this director ever met humans before?
Hey,
no, he only ever
number
watched
23.
Because I was like, which I feel like I was initially so fucking annoyed when I turned this movie on. I was like, oh my God. And I don't know if I watched it on Max, and the audio, the lighting, fucking awful. Like I just like it really sounds like shit. The sound mixing is fucking terrible, and the lighting is so chaotic and honestly upset me in quite a few like sensory fucking nightmare constantly.
I do think Max did like some remastering on some of their stuff that they have on their stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what I wonder, because it almost sounded like they dubbed over the lines, like they weren't saying
no,
them
that was
real
normal.
time.
That's how it originally was.
Okay, yeah.
It
sounded fucking,
that was them doing the 1960s thing.
Yes, I was like, why does this audio mixing sound like absolute ass? Because that's what I was thinking the entire time. And the lighting was like, I also said right after, holy fuck, these lighting effects, way too much. But like once I kind of like leaned into the camp of this, like again, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, super fucking fun. I feel like they were having a good time. They did run out of ice puns very quickly, and I was like, yeah, man, there's really not that many you could do. After a while, they were just like laughing after each line. I was like, oh yeah, there's only so much you can do with this bit.
Yeah, like I did say, at least we don't have the Joker in this movie. The note I have.
He was going to be in the next one, though, in flashback.
Oh, God.
Also, Coolio is in this movie.
That was a surprise to me. I forgot about Coolio.
When I read online, which I think is like a rumor, but that he was hoping to be Scarecrow in a future movie. And I'm like, wait, I want that timeline. Can I have that movie? I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, that's one of those. The next movie, because they greenlit it before this even came out and then quickly canceled it. But there evidently is at least a first draft floating around that had Scarecrow in it. And Coolio and Nick Cage were both approached by different people to be like, would you like to be Scarecrow?
I would bang the table for Coolio on that one. Like, absolutely. Nick Cage is in enough shit. We don't need more Nick Cage, especially at this point in time of where this would be on the timeline. But I unironically love this movie, knowing how it is horrible.
Yeah, I agreed. And like I specifically watched it this time with the mindset that it is a throwback to the 1960s Batman.
Yes,
and that made it so much better for me.
And like that's something I maybe never took the read on it in the times that I've watched it. This movie came out when I was like 5 years old. And like I remember just like all the promo material and like, you know, they were selling the toys with like the suits and stuff. I remember like the Pop-Tarts promotional material specifically. For some reason they had like the Batgirl like yellow logos as the sprinkles and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Just kind of weird thing from childhood. But like, yeah, so like when you're watching this as a kid, the camp and stuff like just completely, you don't register that like what you're watching is absolutely ridiculous. Watching it now, it's just like, oh, they're absolutely doing the Adam West like Batman thing, and it's just like you know what? I'm just gonna turn my brain off and not.
Yeah, I was saying that's what makes it not work though, unfortunately, because I was like, once I realized that's what they were doing, like, those episodes were 25 minutes, and I think that level of camp is great in 25 minutes. In a 2-hour movie, it's a fucking lot. I'm just like, because I was like, I get what they're doing, and I think it would be fine, but yeah, it would need to, if they did like a fun little like online short. Obviously, this is 1997, but I was like, this needs to be in a shorter format because in 2 hours it gets just so. I watched this on 1.5 speed because I was like, come the fuck on, Jesus.
and honestly, I think that's why it feels like so many of the performances at certain points just feel like they're completely phoned in, because like you could tell all the actors and everybody were just kind of like eventually just like, I'm done trying.
There's too much. Well, I know. As well.
Yeah,
like I think the whole Batgirl thing. If they took both those things out of the movie, I think this would have been a little cleaner. Like, and if they made it like a little over an hour, I think this would have actually landed decently. But the fact that they put so many things in there, also Bane's there for some reason. There's just a lot going on.
For a movie called Batman and Robin, they definitely have very little interaction between Batman and Robin for the whole thing. It's mostly just them arguing over Poison Ivy the whole movie. I'm just like, this isn't a compelling story.
Yeah, this is not great.
I will say, Chris O'Donnell, I actually, like, when I was younger, I was just like, he's too old to be playing Robin in this. Now, watching back, I was like, yeah, okay, I could see it.
Yeah, I can see him. Well, they're kind of setting him up as Nightwing, like, because the costume is very Nightwing.
Yeah, they introduced him in Batman Forever, like, a little bit older than he should have been, but, like, at this point in time, it's just like, okay, I could see where they're at. I also specifically had, like, Clooney could have been a decent Bruce Wayne if he had put in the effort and had a better material to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And other than that,
I don't hate Clooney as Bruce, but I do hate him as Batman.
Absolutely, hands down.
Yeah, like, again, like, I think he could have done a better job, but I think he just figured out very early in production, just like, I'm phoning this in. And then also, like, the production, Brie, kind of to your point, the production value and design, like, had a lot of, like, BBC, Doctor Who vibes for me.
Everything looked like a set, for sure. Everything was clearly on a set. Everything looked plastic. So.
Yeah, no, like, it was very cheap and cheesy, and like, a lot of the, like, CGI visual effects do not hold up whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. That scene where they're driving down the arm of that statue just looks terrible.
Gotham is ugly as fuck. This is the ugliest Gotham has ever looked. It is so gaudy.
I actually, one of my notes is I like this hyper gothic Gotham. I like the Gotham from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
I agree with Seth on this one. I think I like the, like, heavy neon, like, you know, almost like not cyberpunk, but like gothic, like cyberpunk kind of thing that they had kind of going on. I kind of digged it. But yeah, but like, again, the execution on the production design was not.
Oh yeah.
Not
sure.
No. Especially like Ivy's lair towards the end of the movie. That is the most set-looking thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh, the auction with, like, the weird gorilla suit.
Yeah, the gorilla suit striptease. Yeah,
that awakened something in somebody. So.
It awoken something in me, I'll tell you what.
Oh, baby, put the suit on.
But one kind of thing about this is, like, obviously this is the only, like, instance that we've gotten on like, cinema, specifically live action Batgirl. And this is at a time where basically studios were setting female superheroes to fail constantly. Like, constantly doing them wrong, and then, like,
so glad that time is over.
Thank goodness.
But like very specifically, it's just like, hey, we're going to introduce this female superhero. We're going to completely ignore anything that anybody likes about them in the source material, completely change it and do its own thing, and do it completely wrong, and then go like, I guess people just don't like female superheroes. I don't understand why we hated it.
Yeah. No, well, and as a kid, my only other exposure to Batgirl as a character was the animated series.
Right.
So as a kid, I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Which also wasn't like a great interpretation of Batgirl, even at the time.
No, she slept with Batman.
God damn it, Bruce Timm.
Yeah, Bruce Timm and his weird crush.
Every time, like him putting that in the Killing Joke.
I know.
I was just like,
God.
I was just like, fuck all the way off. Stop doing this. Nobody likes this except you. This is your fetish. Stop doing it. Warner Brothers, stop letting him do it.
Just maybe stop letting Bruce Timm do a lot of things.
Thank you, please.
But yeah, I don't know. We had that Batgirl movie a few years ago that Warner Brothers canceled. Yeah, you specifically killed.
I specifically
for tax reasons.
Flat, Aaron.
I did that out of love for Batgirl. I did not do it out of spite.
But you robbed us of Brendan Fraser as Firefly.
I know, and that was the thing I felt the most guilty about.
We'll never forgive you for that specifically.
I know. I hate myself for it. Don't worry. I'll do my 20 lashings right afterwards. No problem.
The opening scene from the Da Vinci Code. You just strip down and start whipping yourself.
I hear a voice in the distance saying, "Harder, Daddy."
I think that's called DID. But I've completely lost my point now.
I love the show. Anyways, but yeah, wish we stopped setting female superheroes up to fail on like anything that we try to do, because like it's not, the source material there is good. Like I said, like I would love to see more eco-terrorist Poison Ivy. I would like to see like a more like Batgirl Burnside style, like Babs Tarr, Cam Stewart, like Batgirl, like that. Emily would fucking eat that shit up.
Burnside Batgirl is the best kind, so I'm like, I would take that in a fucking heartbeat. Please.
Yeah, no. Everybody go support Babs Tarr on everything she does. She does amazing work, especially on some of the, especially if you're a little bit more on the bisexual and really into hot people side, because she does a great job on that stuff. Great work.
Bisexuals are hot people. How dare you?
That's why I'm the ugliest person on the show, Brie.
What's it like being straight? I forgot straight people existed.
Honestly, like we shouldn't, to be fair.
It just makes more evolutionary sense if everyone is bisexual.
100%.
That sounds like eugenics, Seth. Do we want to unpack that?
No.
No.
This week on Seth Therapy.
It really is funny though how like quick eugenics comes up in so many conversations, because I've seen people like talk about like Idiocracy and the state of America right now, and I'm like, you do know that movie is very much pro eugenics, right?
Right.
Like
it's one of those things where, again, I get the attitude of just like, I feel like we need to do some culling in the gene pool. It's just like, here's why that's a problem.
Let's circle back on that. Oh, God.
Yeah. We could talk about Australia's policies on Aborigines and how that was problematic as fuck. Just again, we're never going to do anything right.
No.
But we can at least try to be better. We can at least try to be better.
Also, survival of the fittest doesn't mean what people think it means. So, as somebody who has read Origin of Species, that's not what it means. Please stop using that phrase.
Nope. But yeah, so
couldn't Mr. Freeze just sell those diamonds to fund his research?
That was literally one of my major thoughts. Was like, you could just sell those giant diamonds you've been taking on the black market and fund your research. You don't need to hold Gotham hostage.
Yeah. Also, a note I have is just diamonds equal lasers? Question mark. How does that work?
Reflection of light or something. I don't know. But yeah, no. Again, like obviously they didn't put that much effort into writing of the script. Like it was very highly camp. Again, like I think you could definitely do a good Poison Ivy movie if you again dialed back the like I'm trying to wipe out all mammals and have plants take over the earth and be more just like no, take out some deforestation stuff. Fucking go rage against fracking. Do some shit with that, like eco-terrorism stuff. That could work really well. Have her like basically be seducing, fucking oil company CEOs and having them murdered. Like there's so much you could do with that character, and it's just being wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she absolutely is wasted.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Unless they got rubber lips.
She doesn't make out with girls because she's actually into them, so she doesn't want to kill them.
Yeah.
We do love that.
when I was a kid after this movie came out, and this is a stupid fucking story, but when my lips would get like really chapped, I would like peel them off like it was that scene in the movie.
I did that too. You're not alone on that one.
Okay.
But no,
I'm not alone.
I think we're also all like in the like crosshairs of like where this movie is nostalgic material. Like obviously we can look back on it and be like, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was not good about this movie, but like for where we were at the time, it was good.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid. Bree's not agreeing, but
Bree's also the oldest out of us. So
I am. So I was 7 when it came out. It's so funny because watching this now, I don't know if I've ever actually seen it. And if I did, it was a super fucking long time ago. I think, again, I think if it was shorter, I think I would enjoy it a lot more. I think it's too much and it's too long for what it is.
Yeah.
Again, I think I could not watch this regular speed because I'm just like, honestly, even watching it 1.5 speed, I was like, this is moving so slowly. Speed it the fuck up.
I had the same problem when we watched Spider-Man 3. Like 3 was specifically the movie where it's just like, you could have cut like 90% of this movie out.
100%.
Well, and there are scenes in this movie where I noticed it would be like character says the final line and then it just cuts back and forth between all the characters in the scene for like 10 seconds, not saying anything.
Yeah, the action scenes go on like way too long. Like they say like on way too many things. Just again, objectively, it is not a good movie.
Oh yeah.
But once you turn your brain off and accept the camp for what it is, it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's good if you're intending on riffing on it. Because I feel like I kind of wish like if we had the time, I would have like I'm seeing my partner tomorrow, so like I would have like watched it with him, and we would have like absolutely not been paying attention. Like having to sit and watch it by myself and pay attention and take notes. I was like, this is the worst.
Literally laying on the couch by myself. I was just like, this would be a lot more fun if M or just like somebody else was here with me, and we could just basically just be riffing on it. And
100%.
But like just sitting there by myself taking notes, it's just like so I basically have to keep all the jokes to myself that I'm writing my notes.
Yeah, this is definitely a get crossfaded with a bunch of people and watch it together kind of movie.
100%.
We need to organize one of that for the next time we choose a movie like this. Just instead of doing like a normal show, just doing a riff track session.
Oh, I would love that. I'm a longtime fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000. I would love that.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I did a whole show that was a ripoff of Mystery Science Theater 3000 for like 2 years. I
remember that actually. All right. So, any other thoughts on Batman and Robin?
I had one more like super small note, and it was just on. Again, I think it's interesting that they included his girlfriend, Batman's girlfriend, in this.
Which had no bearing on any of the story.
No bearing on anything. Although she is in the comics, which is interesting to me. But she did mention that she's like, Bruce, I can't wait around forever. They've been together for a year. I'm just like, man, what do you mean? Like, you're acting like you've been together for 6 years. And even like the reporter's like, when do you guys, tie in the knots?
Meanwhile,
like,
Emily's sitting behind me who waited 9 years before I proposed.
Yeah.
A year? That's crazy. Man.
That reporter too. Yeah, chill out. That reporter too is only in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin because she is personal friends with Joe Schumacher. So he created that character for his friend.
That's on brand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say other than Alfred knowing his niece's measurements is a bit creepy.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff about like that was just like, okay, like again, Alfred dying, I get is a good enough plot point, but like again, like here is my niece Barbara. We're not going to go explain how that ties in with actual lore, but whatever.
Yeah, I know, and like I noticed too, like there are scenes where they're talking like he raised her, and I'm like, she's at most 22, 23, and Clooney's Batman makes a reference to the fact that Alfred has been there at least 30 years. He's like, hey, you've never missed answering the door in 30 years. How did they have a relationship?
It's almost like they wrote it in later.
Right?
It's just like
again,
that.
It's one of those things like once you accept the fact that like it's like this movie is completely ridiculous, you stop caring about the plot holes.
Yeah. Silly movie.
Yep.
Silly times.
It's a good bad movie. There's bad movies, but this isn't one of them. So it is a good bad movie. I'm not mad at it. Again, in a different context, I would have enjoyed this more. So, and honestly, I think this could have been a good movie in a different context. It's just they need to tighten some things up.
And that was one last thing that I wanted to say. Going back to Brie, you saying that the Batman series from the 60s worked better because it was like 22 minutes. I like the Batman series. I have always had a massive distaste for the 60s Batman movie for that very reason. It's too long and there's too much.
The camp is fun, but it's a novelty is what it is, and novelty doesn't last that long. And I think that's the problem. Like 25-minute episode, perfect. Like, and it was very of the time. Like all the shows were like that. But like to do it in 1997, I feel like the second this movie came out, it was already super dated. So it's just like that's not a good vibe.
Yeah, understanding your medium and adjusting for it goes a long way, especially as far as that goes. Because like again, we can accept like 30-minute cartoon to be like a little ridiculous, but when you want to do like a 3-hour long film that needs to hold my attention, you need to put a little bit more effort into like how you structure the story and the characters and everything else.
Absolutely.
2 hours this movie, 2 fucking hours. 2 hours of camp is too much camp.
And you feel that 2 hours, especially once you start getting to the third act. That third act drags.
I got to be completely honest. I stopped watching. I didn't watch the movie all the way through.
That's when I upped the speed. Yeah, I was like, okay.
By the time we got to the third act, that's when I was getting up off the couch and like, just like, okay, I'm gonna go fix myself something to eat, and like I could still see the TV, so I don't need to pause it.
I was like, don't pause it. We don't need to pause it.
Yeah, but it was straight up like that was the moment where I was just like, all right, so like I'm just kind of like my brain's turned off, so I might as well get other things done while the movie's on.
100%.
I can listen to it. It's fine.
You got the gist. It's fine.
Well, talking about a little bit, because we mentioned how like some of these things work for like say an animated series or a shorter piece of content. Do we have like some favorites for say like adult animated series, or just animated stuff in general?
I personally love home movies. It's my favorite animated series of all time. I'm glad you know it because I have mentioned it to so many people and been met with, I've never heard of that.
It's a little niche, but it is good.
Yeah, I mean, it came on at 3:30 in the morning on Adult Swim, so like, I love it for
Swim.
Yeah. For people who aren't aware, it's Lauren Bouchard, the creator of Bob's Burgers, and Brendan Small, the creator of Metalocalypse. It's the show they both did before then. Lauren Bouchard, I love his work from Dr. Katz to Home Movies to Lucy, Daughter of the Devil to Bob's Burgers, and he works largely with the same staff all the way through. So like the voice of Bob is the voice of Coach McGurk on Home Movies. And you can tell if you've listened to it. He does nothing to change his voice between Archer.
It's a great voice. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I went back the last couple of weeks and have been watching some home movies, and I that's why I brought it up on the doc, is because I just love this show so much, and I wanted more people to know about it.
That should be a homework assignment because I would love to watch that again. It's been a long time since I've watched it. My ex-boyfriend, it's one of the only few good things about one of my exes that he introduced me to that, and we would watch it all the time. And it was one of my favorite things to watch because it was always very, very funny.
I have been wanting for years to go as a couple's costume on Halloween as Louis Braille and Louis Pasteur, which is from the episode Director's Cut, where they make a musical about Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. That's my favorite episode, and yeah, but no one's gonna get that joke. No one's gonna get that reference, no matter what.
Some of my favorite jokes to do are ones that I know no one's going to understand.
That's my existence on this podcast.
We're like, yeah, Seth, for sure. Whatever you're talking about, I love that you love that.
Well, like Brie said last week, she's just like, you've given Brie the confidence to tell people, just like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't know what that is.
I don't get that.
But sometimes I do get it, and this time I did. So
and that's what makes it worth it.
Exactly. When you do find that one person that knows what you're talking about, you're just like, did we just become best friends?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I call them one percenters, which is a term I got from a Simpsons commentary track where they go, every once in a while we do a joke that only 1% of the population will get, but it's a good joke, so we have to do it.
Yeah.
And I love making those in my personal life just to see who around me will get it.
Yeah. It's always one of those things where it's just like you just throw it into the room and you're just like saying, there it is.
Yeah.
I do get that because honestly, when I used to cosplay, one of my favorite things to do was cosplay very obscure DC characters. And my biggest cosplay ever was Knockout from the Secret Six. And let me tell you, almost nobody knew who I was, except a couple little kids came up to me and said, "Oh, it's Mrs. Green Lantern," and they were very excited to meet me. I'm like, I'm not, but I'm glad you're excited. And then there was one person that was like, "Are you Knockout from the Secret Six?" I'm like, "Fucking yes!" And we were so fucking hyped. It was like one out of like thousands of people.
Wasn't that your like profile picture for a hot minute for a while?
For sure, yeah. It was. No, actually, that was a Black Canary cosplay, but also that was an obscure Black Canary version. So
yeah, like it was Black Canary, but not like the one that everybody would recognize, especially at that time, because like at that point it was all just like leather jacket and blonde wig.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, like it's fun to like find those connections. It's like, it's rare, but it's worth it. So I'm with you on that, Seth.
Go. I'm glad I'm understood.
But yeah, no, as far as like animation goes, like we've done a lot of animated series and stuff on the show, and things that I'm familiar with before, things that like I got introduced to. I really liked She-Ra when we watched it. That was really fun. I enjoyed that.
The best.
Obviously, my comfort show is Clone Wars. I actually got asked recently, like, what's my guilty pleasure, like, TV show, and I was just like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just gonna put on Clone Wars. I'm a recovering Star Wars nerd, and so, like, I need a Star Wars that at least makes me feel like that they knew what they were doing at, like, one point for, like, a small point in time.
Oh. For a hot second, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Before
they cared
Disney
about the
bought
story,
it.
I think.
Brie,
what are some of yours?
I think I know you mentioned She-Ra, which is like the one that I'm mainly thinking of because like I don't. Did either of you finish that show, by the way? Because the ending is so good, it makes me cry every single time.
I did.
Yeah, no, I finished it,
and
then I had already like watched it passively with M, so like I knew all of the plot beats already leading up to the end, but like I did get through all of it by myself, so.
Because that's one of the ones like I will watch cringy compilations of like Catra and She-Ra just because I'm just like I love their relationship so much, and it is so lovely to see a like lesbian relationship as the forefront of like an entire series. It's very powerful.
I do like the occasional time when She-Ra like cosplayers pop up on my For You page and like they do like the Catra or just like couples like stuff, just like random like audios and stuff. It's fun. I'm always like, this is funny.
It's such a great couple. I just like, that's probably the biggest one for me. I will say also, which I haven't watched it in a long time, but I was a big fan of like the Teen Titans. Not Teen Titans Go is okay, but the one that came out before that, like I adored that show. It definitely has its problems, but it's also a little hard to find right now. I actually had to physically buy it to watch it for a while, which I hate having physical media. So it is now. For a while, it was like impossible to find. Like it was just like I think it was a weird like rights issue with it. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I think those are the two off the top of my head. I can't really think of anything else right now, but those two, like She-Ra is one of the best shows I've ever. I really want to get her sword tattooed on me somewhere. But it doesn't really go with my motif, but maybe I will do it. So.
I know I need to catch up on Invincible. I remember when the first season of that came out, I was like, I was just like people who I know didn't know about Invincible. I was just like, hey, just so you know, watch this thing, and then didn't tell him anything about it. Especially because they did the good thing with like the first episode seems like just like a very straight, wholesome superhero thing, and then it turns. But I've been hearing the most recent seasons aren't really great, so I'm kind of like,
I gotta be completely honest with you. I hate Invincible. I watched that first season and hated every second of it.
And there's a reason I don't talk to you about it, because I was just like, this seems like something Seth would probably not like, because I know Seth's taste. And
yeah, it's
the
like, whole thing to me.
And I don't like The Boys, so like,
The Boys is terrible.
Yeah, so like,
fan base is awful.
Yeah,
the fan base is terrible.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it's just like, again, going back to the guilty pleasure of it, it's just like, I realize there's problematic shit in here.
Yeah, my issue with it, and because The Boys and Invincible are very similar, I think it's just to me, Invincible is just edgelordy to me, and The Boys is at least saying something about politics and the state of the world right now.
No, I would agree.
And if Invincible were saying anything, I would enjoy it more.
I think that's a fair critique. Absolutely. I like the subversion of Invincible, but I agree that like in terms of like commentary, you're right. They're not necessarily saying anything. They're just kind of being edgelords about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out actually, because I've heard very mixed things, but I will say I'm like, at least if it's like The Boys is one of the most deeply unpleasant shows I've ever watched.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah,
it's not fun. I don't want to.
I know you're not a big. I know you're not a big gore fan. It gets pretty gory.
That's the thing. Yeah, gore for gore's sake, I just like don't understand. But also, it's just unpleasant. It deals with very heavy, unpleasant topics all the fucking time. And
I started playing Doom 2016 last night. I was having a really good time. I was just
That's a great game.
I'm just like,
it's so good.
I was like, yes, shotgunning demons, blood, gore, melee kills.
You got the BFG yet?
No, I maybe only got like half an hour in before. Like it was like one of those things, I was having one of those days where it's just like I need something to occupy my brain, and so I was just like, okay, Halo crashed on me, so it's just like, all right, I downloaded Doom 2016 last week, I might as well fire that thing up.
I remember I downloaded the beta, which allowed you to play through like the first 20 minutes before the game came out. And when he's in the elevator and it's playing the theme, and then it's like da-dum, 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 and then he clicks the shotgun at the exact same tempo of the guitar part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this game is incredible. I have to buy this right now. I got to pre-order.
Also, Hell of a Boss. I forgot to mention Hell of a Boss.
Hell of a Boss is very good.
It's pretty good.
I need to catch up on that. I've like maybe like only gotten through like the first season and a half.
I was thinking Has-Been Hotel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the same person who created it, but Hell of a Boss is like still completely under her control. Hell of a Boss is pretty good. There's definitely some issues with it and some inconsistencies, but now's a good time to get caught up on it because it's gonna be a long fucking time before the next episode comes out. So.
Yeah, I was about to say they were coming out for a steady clip after Has-Been came out, which I was surprised by because they were slow rolling it for so long. I guess like after Has-Been came out, they had a little bit more bandwidth to like crank out episodes. But now that I'm sure like Has-Been's probably getting back into production and there's some other stuff going on.
Correct. Yes.
I know Vizzy gets a lot of shit online for problematic stuff, but it's like it's always like kind of like, some of you people need to grow up.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, and I don't like every episode. There's plenty of episodes that are not my favorite. And actually, especially because I don't like gore, there's some very gory episodes that I usually just skip over. But it's a fun show, and it's short too. So I'm like, I think you'll decide very quickly if you like it or not.
Yeah.
I would also be remiss, considering how many references I make to it on this show, if I didn't say The Simpsons. Classic Simpsons, those first 10 years are just perfect in my eyes. Even the Principal Skinner episode that everyone hates. I love
the one where they change his origin story.
Yeah. Armin Tanzarian. Yeah. But I love that show to death. It has always been a comfort show for me. And I had a bunch of the DVDs when I was a teenager, and I watched them to a point that I can replay any episode from the first 10 years in my head just like that.
No, again, there's some things that stick with you for whatever reason. So Emily started watching Gilmore Girls like a few years back when we started dating. But like my stepmom and sister watched that show religiously, so like I have seen every episode. So I would be in the other room and like hear like just a conversation. It's like, oh, is this the episode where? Da 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 da. Just because I just like one thing. I was just like clear. I was like, oh, I know exactly what episode this is.
I have that because my mom and my sister used to watch Charmed a lot.
God.
And so Charmed is my version of that.
Good times. So, anyways, obviously it's a light week because we recorded a little quickly turnaround. Me and Brie both have some scheduling conflicts coming up, so it's going to be a while before we record again, so we wanted to get something in the bank. So if you end up, getting out of jail, you're found innocent as you are, just, stay low for like at least another couple of weeks so we have something to talk about. All I'm suggesting.
Yeah. All assassination attempts need to be put on hold until we're ready to record again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Elon Musk, could you please not be a dickhead for 2 weeks?
Oh, well,
I know it's asking for a lot.
That is impossible.
I love that clip of him just high out of his mind on ketamine, doing like this with his hand in the Oval Office, just like, huh? I love that clip.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate him. I hate everything that's going on right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next place that asked me to do a drug test as part of my employment, I'm just going to be like, Elon Musk has a security clearance right now. Fuck.
Yeah.
He's also a Nazi, if we need to be reminded of that, because he is a fucking Nazi.
Yeah. Actual
Nazi. Another one of the people in the Trump party did the Nazi salute, yesterday? Like, that's been all over my For You page today.
Yeah, cool. Why not?
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh my god, what a fucking nightmare.
I hate this timeline. We should have had the timeline with Coolio as Scarecrow. Everything would have been fixed.
That would have fixed everything. I agree.
Yep. I keep seeing that like side profile of Musk, and people are like, what's wrong with his body? And I'm trying to figure out how I can make a joke about how it looks like an underpaid Rob Liefeld drew Captain America.
That's good.
That's very good. Good job making a reference me and Brie both understood.
Yay! First one.
That's not bad.
Oh God. So anyways, so we're gonna supplement some topics with Nerd Show and Tell. So what has everybody got for Nerd Show and Tell this week? Brie, you want to go first?
Sure. I was like, as I was setting up my audio, I was like, oh fuck, we're doing nerd shit. Like, let me hold on.
There's like 50 nerdy things I can literally see just from your camera background.
So I'm gonna go kind of because we were talking about stuffed animals last time. I'm gonna show some stuffies. Because why not? So I got these owls, and I got 2 of them, because I didn't want them to be alone. And here's the cool thing about them: they are made from upcycled wool sweaters, so they just like took the parts that were still usable and they made them. I was about to say
they kind of have that like old sock monkey vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And I got them from a super cool thrift store in Michigan called the Rabbit Hole, and they just like sell a bunch of stuff like this. It's one of the coolest. Me and my partner, it's like we love thrifting, so it's like it's such a cool find, and I love them so much. And on top of that, one of my old coworkers is selling her crochet creations, so I bought a couple of them. One of them's at work, but I have these pair of penguins. One has a bow tie, one has a bow. So super adorable. And so cute. I got a snake.
Ooh, that snake's great.
Well, I was just telling my brother yesterday, I was like, hey, we're in the worst timeline and my car's fucked up and everything's awful, but I do have a crochet snake, so I think I'm doing okay.
That makes up. Yeah, that makes up.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's my show. I think it's pretty neat.
Does your friend have an Etsy where they're selling those, or a website of any kind?
I have to double check with her because she was just selling it on her Instagram page, which is like her personal page. So let me find out on that. But if we can, we'll post it somewhere.
Absolutely. We'll make sure our links in the description if we have it.
Yeah.
Mine is the prized piece in my very limited record collection. It is an original release of Starfleet Project by Brian May and
nice.
friends. Brian May, Brian May is the guitar player from Queen, and this is a collab between him and Eddie Van Halen and a couple other musicians that they recorded over a weekend in the early 80s. I first became aware of this because one of my favorite guitar players, Brendan Small, who I mentioned earlier, he posted a picture on Instagram of him being like, I'm so glad I was finally able to track down this like really rare guitar nerd record. And I saw the cover and I was like, pretty sure my dad has that album. So I like called up my dad and I was like, do you have Starfleet? And he tells me the story of how when he first read about it in Guitar Player, he called around to every record store in Denver, found the only one that had a copy, and then drove out in a blizzard to get it. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, can I have it? And he's like, yeah, if you can find it. So I went over to their house, dug through their closet and found it. It's an original pressing.
That's an awesome find. That's
Super
an awesome
cool.
find.
I love that.
I love that. And it's a really good record. My record player has since broke and I haven't been able to listen to it in years, but I love it. It's very good.
Hell yeah.
Nice. All right, yeah. Well, so if anybody knows anything about me, I come from a big video production and camera background. I did a lot of photography professionally back in the day. I don't do it as much as I used to because people don't like paying photographers for some reason.
True.
Weird. But I do have this camera I bought when I first moved out here into Virginia. Ooh. This is my Fuji X100F. F stands for, I believe, the 4th gen. Now they're on like the 7th gen of this camera. But it's a very fun like conversation starter because people see it and they think it's like an old like film camera, but it's actually digital.
Oh, interesting.
So like, but it looks like an old film rangefinder style camera. So there's some things broken on it. The viewfinder has like a digital like toggle that you can toggle between. So you have the classic viewfinder and switched over to the screen. There's something wrong with the motor, so like the screen doesn't come up, so like there's a weird ghosting effect if I try to do digital, so I have to shoot it in a traditional style. But I'm okay with that because that's actually funner. Like it's like a weird thing because a lot of modern camera technology is like, you know, they do most of the work for you these days. Like they very much lean into the point shoot. Everything has like an AI like, you know, processing kind of system to it. The autofocus stuff is like super, super quick. But I like cameras that slow me down more than they speed me up kind of thing. Like make me actually think about it and, you know, learn like how to actually do the things as opposed to just like, again, just like let the tech do everything for you. And so this is like the camera I typically like carry on me aside from my cell phone. Like I like mostly just use my cell phone camera for like I need to like take a picture of this to remember it or to send to somebody or whatever. But like if I'm taking actual photography, like I use this.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's a nice. It looks really cool too. It does look.
It's
got
that.
that.
Yeah, it's a big conversation starter every time somebody sees it because they instantly think it's an old film camera.
Oh, I'm sure. Awesome. That's what I thought when you first picked it up. I was like, "Oh, cool."
Same, yeah.
Well, I also have like a couple of old film cameras up here. Most of them are just things I've inherited. I got a couple of things from Emily's grandfather, who passed a few years back, and he had like some old film cameras. He has like an old, Kodak from the 1920s, and like World War II era German camera that I inherited. He's Jewish, so he wasn't on that side of the German side. He's Jewish. He wasn't on that. As far as the part of history that like needs to be talked about.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I like cameras. I'm trying to get back into doing some of the more artsy things that I used to do. I've talked to Seth about doing, trying to write music again. I still suck at it, but I'm trying.
You gotta suck first before you can be good at something.
Yeah.
You gotta be real bad.
I've always been more of an improv artist as opposed to like somebody who like writes the shit I do down. Like it's always just kind of like in the moment, pen to paper. Like never like try. Like I'm never gonna write a novel. I'm probably never gonna release an album. But like you put an instrument.
But you're a white man in his 30s. Aren't you working on a book?
Yeah, but I'm not racist. That's true. I do have a podcast.
You checked one off already. It's fine.
But hey, I at least invited a woman onto the podcast.
Yep.
True.
So I'm already like slightly better than most.
Only
As
slightly.
again, I don't think straight white men should exist. We have to at least be a little like.
Good episode.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I came in and was like, hey, at least I'm not going to be as punchy as I was last week. And I was just like, I feel like I'm punching harder.
Oh, dang it.
See, old left, right,
Yeah.
go.
Oh, okay, baby, no money.
No, it's BB nuts. Come on.
You can have that argument. You can have that argument with Emily.
Hey, Kesha taught us a long time ago that the dollar symbol is per sound. Fuck it, never mind.
So what you're saying is that it's Dead Mouth. You agree with me that it's Dead Mouth 5 and not Dead Mouse.
Yes, it's Dead Mouth 5.
Okay.
Long live Kesha. We love her. Kesha's
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we love Kesha.
I'm
Absolutely.
glad she's free. I wish she was releasing more music.
Yes.
She shows up on my For You page from time to time, and I'm always happy.
All right.
She's great.
So, anything else we want to broach, guys, before we wrap things up?
No,
All right.
I think I'm good.
Well, next homework assignment is me, and since we're going to have a couple of extra weeks before we meet up again, I am going to do something we haven't done yet and actually give the first reading assignment.
Ooh, okay.
Hey.
And I'm also breaking a trend in that I am not picking something light. I'm very sorry to both of you.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to revisit Watchmen.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
And
have to
I-
find my copy.
I was about to say, find a copy however you please. It's never gone out of print, mostly despite Alan Moore. Find a used copy, find a friend who has a copy, pirate a copy off the internet, do
Use
whatever you
your
gotta
local
do.
library.
Use your local library.
Yes.
Absolutely do that. I've actually been meaning to like start going to my local library and getting a card just to be a place. Because like it's literally just across the street from me. There's no reason I shouldn't be hanging out.
It's the easiest way to protest,
Yeah.
by the way, friends. It is your library needs
Absolutely.
your support.
Yeah.
I
yeah, so-
know I have a copy. I was gifted one years ago. It's around here somewhere. I'll find it.
Yeah, and again, Alan Moore will not be mad at you for getting it off of an illegal website. So like, it's all good.
Yeah, it's true. He's too busy writing that book that'll end the world.
I'm still waiting, but but I mostly want to focus specifically on media literacy and specifically writer's intent versus how people react to it, because there's a lot of stuff in here that like again. People read it, it's like, wow, I really love this. It's just like, okay, we need to talk about why you love this, because I don't think you understood the assignments.
I love Rorschach so much. He's such a
I'm
great
literally like
character.
50 pages already into this, and I'm just like, fuck Rorschach. Fuck right off. And then
He eats cold beans out of a tin. How dare he?
What is
yeah,
it,
that,
British?
that's the problem with that character, and not all the
100%.
things. We'll
Yeah,
talk
not
more about it.
anything else. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll
We'll talk about it more. But yeah, I specifically want to kind of look at it from that angle. And then if you want to do extra credit, you can watch the Zack Snyder film, but I'm not going to require anybody watching a Zack Snyder film because I don't hate you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that dearly. Twice was enough for me to see that movie.
I saw it in theaters with my parents when I was 12.
So did I.
No.
Just Dr. Manhattan's dog straight in.
Oh, that was my dad's biggest complaint. My dad's biggest complaint, a conservative Christian man, was like, he should have put on some pants. I didn't like seeing that much dong.
Oh, that's the problem.
Yeah.
It was definitely a thing where it's just like, it was like I was there with my dad and my stepmom and my step siblings, and I was just like, okay, did you guys not know what Watchmen was before you took us to this? Because I feel like you guys should have researched it a little bit. But
Just a little bit.
But yeah, that's extra credit. You don't have to do that. I don't recommend that. But like,
Okay.
at least read it. Like, it's obviously one of the thicker graphic novels, but because it's a graphic novel, you can like blow through it pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I think
Alright.
we've all read it before too, so that'll help.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is just a retread of something we're all familiar with.
Oh,
Anyways.
that'd be good though. I look forward to revisiting it.
Same.
So anyways, that's our episode of Internet Friends. I am TCK Media Productions. On most platforms, you have that Seth23, who you can still see on the Tiki Otakis until eventually it falls into fascism.
Yep.
In which case, you won't be sorry anymore.
Hey, as long as they keep paying me, I'll keep making TikToks.
Fair enough. And then you have the Raccoonaloon herself. You can check her out on Game Birds, where she talks about indie games with her friend Alice. It's a great time. You can also check out our Unpacking episode, where we talk a lot about specifically Game Birds and, like, you know, how influential that stuff has been. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.